Hi, I'm Amie Tridgell. I'm a location manager in the UK film industry. Like everyone, I'm on lockdown. I thought I'd use this time to call fellow location managers and supervising location managers to talk to them about their career and see if they have any advice or tips to share with junior crew members. Camilla Stephenson talked to me today about her interesting and varied career. In a career spanning 2 decades, she's worked her way through the ranks and is now supervising location manager on projects like Les Miserables, Bohemian Rhapsody, and a forthcoming top secret mega franchise. She's worked with people like Danny Boyle, James Marsh, Lone Scherfig, Edgar Wright, among many others. And she's got lots of top tips for budding location professionals. Here we go, let's ask the question. Hello Camilla, thank you so much for answering our questions today.
Hello.
How did you get your first break in the industry?
I made a lot of phone calls. It's so long ago, no internet. Yeah, I met people for coffees, and eventually somebody felt really, really sorry for me because I didn't stop calling them. They said, "Come out with me for the day, and I'll sit in the car with me, and you can help use the map." Use a map and find these. I've got to go look at Voisey House, an famous architect, in Surrey, and that was David Broder. So basically I went out for a day with him for free, and then weeks and weeks and weeks later he gave me an opportunity to be a runner. So because I didn't know a single person, and had no background in it or anything, but I was in the right place, which was London. Prior to that I had been in other parts of the country, and that was just fantasy in those days. It's better now, I think. In Norwich, it wasn't going to happen. I did try, but it didn't happen.
And do you remember what happened on your first day on set?
Yes, I stood next to some cabbages at the end of a road, directing people in a high-vis. I was so diligent. I stood there for hours longer than I needed to be. It hadn't occurred to me that everybody had now arrived to start their day. I just was waiting to be told I didn't need to be there any longer, so I didn't move from my post. So maybe that reflected on the boss not telling me and thinking about, oh, where's that person I sent down that road hours at 4 o'clock this morning.
What's your favourite project that you've worked on?
The most famous thing is probably Les Miserables still. And that I am very, very proud of that film. I had a really great time, but it is slightly with rose-tinted glasses because it was very hard work, on Stan and Ollie, which is a Laurel and Hardy film. I loved making that film. The people we were working with were delightful. My father absolutely adored Laurel and Hardy, and I'd grown up with all the films, and also I'm of an age where it used to be shown on television all the time. It's because there wasn't a lot of children's television, and it was slotted into a slot, and I was so pleased that we got to make that. And everywhere we went, people just had great stories about them. In fact, a little side story is that we were filming in all these theatres, and we went around the country. We were lucky enough that we were allowed to go wherever it needed to be in order to have all these different contrasting theatres. And so we went all around the country, and after the first couple where we were really surprised that Laurel and Hardy had appeared in that theatre, we were over, oh, this is brilliant, this is fantastic. So we can use a theatre they were actually in. We discovered they'd been everywhere. They had really toured because they were very down on their luck, and they had been the biggest Hollywood stars in the 1930s. So I am really, really, really proud of Yesterday, the film I did with Danny Boyle. We did things in that film that were really big challenges, and also it was a dream of a lifetime to work for Danny, and we got on really well, and I was so pleased that he liked me.
Can you tell us about your best day on set?
Best day on set probably is, and I can't take full credit for this because the team worked really, really hard, especially my assistant location manager, Jack Leary, worked really, really, really hard on this, which is the beach day in Galston on Yesterday. So we made this film about if the Beatles had never existed, and this guy absolutely knows the Beatles music. So we set up this, we had this one location day was basically like a festival in a day, where we had no idea whether 5 people would come and be concert attendees, i.e. extras, or whether we would get 20,000 or 100,000. We didn't know. And it was a huge logistics organization to do. And we worked with people who do or run massive, massive festivals in order to learn how you do that and what you have to put in place, given that you really don't know. But they tend to know how many people are coming because they bought tickets, and we just didn't know. Seeing the 6,000 extras turning up from all over the country, which is the biggest number of extras ever in Britain, is one of the best days ever, and seeing it all come together. Yeah.
Do you have a worst day on set?
Almost any night shoot to me is a worst day. That's yeah.
What is your favourite part of our job?
Oh, my favorite part is that it's never the same. It's different every day. I love all the different assets that it has. So it's an overall love of it. From the scouting to the logistics to the meetings to the meeting the people that you meet behind the scenes to the actual days of filming to going, wow, we did that. There is no one specific thing. I think the beauty of our particular role in filmmaking is the favorite thing is that there's such a variety of things that you have to do in your skill set, and that you never know what the next project is going to be. So yeah.
Do you have a least favorite part? I feel like you might have already answered that.
Well, the night shoot, yeah. No, I think some people probably would say budgets, but I actually secretly love that. I don't mind it at all, because the secret here, you get jobs because you made the budgets work, and you don't necessarily get jobs if you get a reputation for not having a clue what's going on with your budget. So I actually take pride in that. And other things people hate are like production meetings, but I quite like them. If they're really well run, you still learn some stuff in those production meetings. And the sorts of films I work on tend to be almost purely location, and so it's an important day for you as well. So yeah, no, I don't really, apart from the nights. I don't like the nights.
What's your favourite scene in a location that you found?
I couldn't think of just one. So God, sorry, here we go again with my several answers. Tulip Fever, which virtually nobody has seen, which is not our fault. It was produced by Harvey Weinstein, and then it was due to come out just when everything, quite rightly, turned in that case. The art department created Amsterdam on the side of a school in Kent. The creation of that set was absolutely breathtaking, how we did that, and the weeks and months involved in that, and then filming those scenes with things coming down a canal that we created, and all the extras working. That was amazing. Another one is recent, actually the film hasn't come out, Last Night in Soho, Edgar Wright's newest film. I loved the day, which again is not just down to me, the whole team worked really hard on it. We do a traveling scene set in the 60s in Soho of very simple scene, but you can imagine how much was involved in it, of a car traveling up Thrift Street, turning right into Bateman Street, and then stopping by Greek Street, and people getting out. And we had to film this at 8 p.m. on a busy weekday, and we're pretending it's 1960s. When that all came together on that particular evening, that was bonkers. I hope people have done some sort of footage of the behind the scenes there, because it was manic. If in the film you actually believe you're in the 1960s and can't see all the modern people being pushed to one side and running away, or the incredible lockdown that we had to do for like 2 minutes, that will stay as an incredible, great memory.
Do you have a heavy machinery qualification, like a ticket for a G?
Yes, I do. I think it's lapsed, but I do. After we finished Les Mis, a whole gang of us, I arranged that we all learnt to get our genie boom and scissor lift, because I was sick of the fact that on Les Mis we had really precious time in various locations, and quite often we couldn't get somebody to move something and we needed it moved, and luckily one of our security guys actually had a ticket, and so he would, if he was there, he would use some things for us, or we had to wait on a prop guy coming back, or just thought actually it'd be really useful. And in fact it's proved to be really, really useful. In fact, we rather enjoyed it. So on the film Tulip Fever, I remember in Norwich Cathedral, and we needed things moved, again for obvious reasons. We're in a really sensitive location and somebody's just left a machine somewhere, and it's like the things that you'd normally get really stressed about, and you could just say right, well, we'll just get it moved. And people were so surprised that just one of the junior members of the team went just up and like just moved it. I'll never do it though. I'm really, really good at parallel parking in my car. It's one of my favorite things I can do. I could not do that in a genie boom. I just couldn't do it. So yeah, I'll never do it, but the team can do it, and I do think it's a really useful skill.
Have you got any tips for progressing through your career?
Tenacity, persistence, the usual things. Don't take no for an answer. Believe in yourself. You'll get knockbacks, that's for sure. but just see them as those things help make you stronger. Things are difficult for a reason, and overcome them, and then you'll grow. And maybe have a goal where you'd like to be. Everybody's different. There is such an opportunity to do all sorts within our location sphere. You can work on massive movies, small films, television dramas, commercials. You find the thing that makes you happy, and then stick with that and just be the best you can.
And what advice would you give to someone just starting out in the industry?
Don't be late. That's my biggest bugbear. Don't be late. Smile. So be prompt, smile, show willing, give it 100% when you're there, work hard. You will be spotted, and that day is as informative as anything else that you do, and you will be asked to come back tomorrow, and you'll eventually find a niche with some team, and you will be, you'll go for it.
How do you persuade people to give you permission?
Gently. That's it. That's all I have to say.
What's the weirdest reason a cast member has refused to work?
They were allergic to horses. And this is one of my stories I tell a lot, so sorry anybody who's listening who's heard it before, but it's just brilliant. So we're doing a film, and the actor is also an exec producer on it's terrible. It's a terrible film, and it came out a long time ago. So anyway, it didn't even come into the cinemas. It was terrible. And he was an exec producer on it. And in the original script, it had been written in America. His character in this particular scene was riding a horse, and another man's on another horse, and they're talking. And our scene set in Britain, they weren't that at all. They were just meeting in a bar or whatever. We got a call overnight saying he's decided he wants to be on a horse, and we're just now checking that the other actor can actually ride. And if that's the case, we are now trying to source horses, and can you sort out the stabling and and this like this. This is like 10 o'clock at night. It's a classic moment. Anyway, of course, everybody pulls out the stops, and it all happens. And we happen to be filming in a bit of Oxfordshire, where the house next to the house we were due to film in, they had some paddock area, and they allowed horses, and it all got turned around. And the actor turned up and went near the horse and patted it, and then was so allergic that his whole face ballooned and his eyes all got shut. So we couldn't film. And he'd asked for the horse. He knew he was allergic. It was bizarre.
So we've had some questions from the Location Juniors Facebook page about Les Mis.
Great.
One of them is, how did they film the one day more scene with everyone singing live from different locations?
Okay, well, it's a bit of movie magic, really, isn't it? And we just filmed them as per when we were on those locations. Yeah, so we just filmed them when we were on in Greenwich, or when we were in Oxfordshire, or when we were in Portsmouth, or when we were in wherever. They were all just filmed at the time that we were there, and then it was all put together in the edit. And
the Stars Paris Look Down scene, how was that filmed?
It wasn't on location. So it was in a stage, in a studio, against a big green screen, some plate shots of a weir, and plate shots from Paris. And in fact, Ben Pilz, who has done quite well for himself, he looked after that weir shoot, if I remember rightly, because by then I'd had to go on to another film, and it was something that they did later on. Yeah, so yeah, that's how they did it.
Did Les Mis present any location-specific challenges?
Oh yeah, loads. Because everything, yeah, loads. Number one, pretend you're in France. Yeah, number two, the live singing. So you know how the sound department, anybody who doesn't really know film yet, the sound department don't get a look in most of the time. You go and find a location, and if there are planes flying on top of your head, then fine, everybody might go, do you think we could really make these 10 pages of dialogue work with those planes going over the top of our heads? Probably not. The sound person is not going to really enjoy this. But quite often they don't really get much of a say in by the time everybody's decided that this location is perfect. And if there's a bit of a noise problem, they're just going to have to work it out. But in Les Mis, sound became a big thing. And Simon Hayes, the head of sound, he was very specific about the locations, to the point where we were not allowed anything that might crunch, like gravel, and we were in like period locations and period manor houses and things that have a lot of gravel these days. That's what goes with it. So things were carpeted, anything that could make a sound was a no-no. Anything at all. The creaking of a floorboard, the sound coming from just the other side of the wall, obviously nobody talking. I mean, just incredible. So very, very specific, because it was live singing, and obviously that one take might be the winning take, and they would want to use that. Some of our favorite memories of that film are the piano, because so this piano is brought around every location. It was in its own, we called it the Pope Mobile, because it was in its own perspex box, almost. That's how I would describe it. A bit like when you see the Pope Mobile and he's like protected. So it's brought in so that it was sound-proofed box. So the piano was in. It's an upright piano, old-fashioned upright piano. That was because they did the piano music live as the person sang. Only the actors could hear the sound of the piano because they had the earworms in, and the various people who were watching a monitor had headphones on, of course. But us as the crew couldn't hear a thing. So all you could hear was the actor singing, but you couldn't hear the music behind it. So, which is always quite sort of weird, really. But the piano would therefore just change however the actor was making that sound. So they're not singing along to a track. They are singing in the mood that they feel they're in. So that was incredible. But getting that piano around, oh my God. So we're in a church in Paddington, getting that piano down into the bottom of that church, and a cow. I always forget, we had to get a cow down into this crypt of this church that really did not want to go into the crypt of a church. Yeah, there's a lot of location specific issues with Les Mis. They're just a couple. I think it was such a big deal for me. It was a big film. It was a big jump up. And the very first film I made as a location manager in education, those films stay in your memory really strongly. Of course they do, because you are petrified you're going to be found out. And of course you're not, because you've been chosen, because you can absolutely do the job and everybody knows you can, and you get great support, and you have a great team who are there as well, which makes you look great. But the memories stay very strong because they're all big step ups. The first job, the first thing is a big step up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really great. Wow, thank you so much. Such a privilege
My
to hear
pleasure.
stories. Thanks, Camilla.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Bye.